What you're about to see was captured by a security camera inside a small cell phone repair shop in Phoenix, Arizona, just last month. At first glance, the footage appears to show nothing more than an ordinary Saturday morning. But then, something heartbreaking limps through the door. A tiny German Shepherd puppy, barely 8 weeks old, enters the shop alone. He is limping, frightened, and clearly in distress. But this is not just another abandoned pet story. What happens over the next few minutes will restore your faith in humanity. Behind the counter that day was a 22-year-old employee named Sophia Martinez. She had no idea that this encounter was about to change her life and reveal a secret that would shock her entire neighborhood. Nor could she imagine that this puppy's arrival was no accident. Someone had deliberately sent him to find her. Before we reveal the truth behind the puppy's mission, make sure to subscribe, because stories like this are the reason this channel exists. Now, let's watch as this extraordinary story unfolds, captured entirely on security footage. It was 10:23 a.m. when the shop's glass doors slid open. Instead of a customer, a small German Shepherd puppy stumbled inside. His distinctive black and tan markings were still faint, his paw dragging as he moved with obvious pain. From behind the counter, Sophia heard soft whimpering. She turned, startled, and saw him, a ball of fur barely the size of a shoebox. His intelligent brown eyes scanned the shop, wide with desperation, as if searching for someone. "Oh my God," Sophia whispered, dropping everything. "Hey there, little guy, what are you doing here?" The puppy's response was immediate and heartbreaking. Instead of running away, he dragged himself toward her, his injured paw leaving tiny smears of blood across the polished floor. Each step came with a small whimper, but his determination never faltered. It was as if he knew exactly who he was looking for. Sophia rushed out from behind the counter, her heart racing. Up close, she could see the truth of his condition. His fur was matted with dirt, dried tear streaks clung beneath his eyes. He was underweight, ribs showing through his thin coat, and his paw, a deep cut split across the pad. But then, something made Sophia freeze. Around his tiny neck wasn't a collar, but a strip of torn fabric. Tied to it was a small plastic bag. Inside, she found a crumpled piece of paper. The note read, in shaky handwriting, "Please help Charlie. I can't take care of him anymore. He's a good boy. The person who works at the phone store with the dark hair and kind smile. I've watched you help people. Please don't let him die. I'm sorry." Sophia's hands trembled as she read the words again. Someone had been watching her, studying her, and they had chosen her, specifically, to save this puppy's life. Charlie, as the note revealed his name, placed his tiny paw on her knee, looking up with eyes that begged for trust. Sophia knew this was no random encounter. This was an act of desperation. The footage shows her lifting him gently into her arms. Instantly, Charlie relaxed against her chest. Despite the pain, despite the fear, he seemed to know he was finally safe. In the back office, Sophia pulled out a first aid kit. As she carefully cleaned his wound, Charlie never resisted. No growling, no snapping, just quiet acceptance. But his shallow breathing terrified her. He didn't have much time. Then she noticed something else inside the plastic bag. A small roll of cash, about $40, and another note that read simply, "For the doctor. It's all I have." Sophia didn't hesitate. She closed the shop, something she had never done during business hours, and prepared to take Charlie to the emergency veterinary clinic across town. Before leaving, the cameras captured one final moment. Sophia held Charlie close, whispering through tears, "Don't worry, Charlie, I've got you now. Whatever happened to you, it's going to be okay." She had no idea that this promise would lead to discoveries far bigger than she could imagine. At the clinic, Veterinarian Drive, Amanda Rodriguez examined Charlie immediately. He was dehydrated, malnourished, and running a fever from the infected paw wound. But as Dr. Rodriguez scanned for a microchip, her expression changed. "Sophia," she said quietly, "I need to ask you something. Where exactly did you find this puppy?" Sophia explained everything: the note, the mysterious stranger, the decision to send Charlie to her. The veterinarian listened, her face growing more serious with every word. "I think I know who Charlie belongs to," Dr. Rodriguez finally said, "or who he belonged to." Charlie's microchip revealed his owner, Eleanor Thompson, an 82-year-old woman who lived just 6 blocks from Sophia's shop. Eleanor had been a loyal client of the clinic for over 15 years, known for rescuing stray dogs despite her limited income. Dr. Rodriguez's voice wavered as she explained. She brought Charlie in 3 weeks ago for his first vaccinations. That day, she was different, emotional. She kept hugging him, whispering what a good boy he was. She paid with exact change, and she said something about wanting to make sure he was healthy for what comes next. Sophia felt a chill. Do you think something's happened to her? Dr. Rodriguez was already reaching for the phone. We need to do a welfare check. Eleanor would never abandon Charlie willingly. Something is very wrong. Within the hour, Phoenix police officers were dispatched to Eleanor's senior apartment complex. Sophia, though she had never met Eleanor, felt compelled to follow. The building manager, Mrs. Chen, met them at the door, already in tears. We've been worried about Eleanor for days. She hasn't picked up her mail, and her neighbor hasn't heard Charlie barking. Eleanor never goes anywhere without him. The officers climbed the stairs to her second-floor apartment. Behind the door, a television played faintly. They knocked again and again. No answer. Finally, Mrs. Chen unlocked the door with her master key. Inside, they found Eleanor Thompson unconscious on the bedroom floor. She had fallen 3 days earlier, likely from a stroke. Dehydrated and weak, she had been unable to move. But in the living room, they discovered something even more heartbreaking. A small area prepared for Charlie, food and water bowls carefully arranged, toys scattered neatly, and a handwritten list of instructions for his care. On the dining table lay drafts of the note Sophia had found tied around Charlie's neck. Eleanor had written and rewritten her plea for help, practicing how to ask a stranger to save her beloved puppy's life. The final version was marked at the top. Best version. Use this one. Then came the most powerful revelation of all. In her journal, left open on the table, Eleanor had written her last entry. Charlie is so smart. I've been teaching him the route to the phone store. The girl there always smiles at people, even when they're not buying anything. If something happens to me, I pray Charlie will find her. She has kind eyes. I think she'll understand. Eleanor had spent her final conscious days training Charlie to save himself, knowing that her own time was running out. The injured paw, they realized, had probably occurred during Charlie's desperate journey to find Sophia. He had navigated busy streets and rough terrain to reach the person his owner had chosen as his savior. As paramedics worked to stabilize Eleanor for transport to the hospital, Sophia stood in the small apartment, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what had just unfolded. An elderly woman's love for her puppy had set into motion a chain of events that had literally saved them both. Eleanor Thompson spent the next 48 hours fighting for her life in the ICU at Phoenix General Hospital. Meanwhile, 6 miles away, Charlie was fighting his own battle at the emergency veterinary clinic. Sophia found herself shuttling between both locations, suddenly becoming the guardian angel for 2 beings who had never been separated until tragedy struck. Dr. Margaret Hayes, Eleanor's neurologist, explained that the elderly woman had suffered a significant stroke, but her chances of recovery were better than expected because she had been found relatively quickly. If that puppy hadn't gotten help when he did, we'd be looking at a very different outcome, Dr. Hayes told Sophia during one of her visits. At the veterinary clinic, Charlie was making remarkable progress. The infection in his paw was responding to antibiotics, and proper nutrition was already helping him gain weight. Dr. Rodriguez marveled at the puppy's resilience. German shepherds are intelligent and loyal, but Charlie's behavior goes beyond normal instincts. It's as if he knew his mission wasn't complete until Eleanor was found. Sophia had taken emergency leave from work, unable to focus on anything other than the 2 lives that had suddenly become her responsibility. She spent her days reading to Eleanor in the hospital room, and her evenings at the clinic helping Charlie with rehabilitation exercises. The staff at both locations had never seen anything like the bond forming between the young woman and her unlikely charges. Then, on Tuesday morning, the breakthrough they had all been hoping for occurred. Eleanor's eyes fluttered open for the first time since being found. Her first word, spoken in a barely audible whisper, was, "Charlie. He's safe," Sophia said immediately, taking Eleanor's frail hand. "Charlie found me, just like you taught him. He's going to be fine." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears as Sophia explained everything that had happened. Her speech was limited due to the stroke, But her gratitude was unmistakable. When Sophia showed her photos of Charlie recovering at the clinic, Eleanor managed her first smile since hospitalization. Dr. Hayes remained cautiously optimistic. She's going to need extensive rehabilitation, probably several months in a specialized facility. Her mobility will be limited, and she'll need ongoing assistance with daily activities. This news created a new dilemma. Eleanor's apartment complex didn't allow pets for residents requiring assisted care, and her limited income couldn't cover both medical expenses and Charlie's needs. The social worker assigned to her case gently suggested finding Charlie a new permanent home. But Sophia had grown attached to Charlie, and more importantly, she had seen how much Eleanor's recovery depended on him. Despite her limited speech, Eleanor constantly asked about Charlie, and her progress seemed directly linked to receiving updates about his condition. Sophia made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. She requested a meeting with Eleanor's medical team, the veterinary staff, and the social worker to propose an unconventional solution. What if Eleanor didn't have to choose between her health and her dog? She asked. What if there was a way for them to stay connected, with support? Her proposal was ambitious but heartfelt. She would foster Charlie officially, handling his veterinary care and daily needs, while bringing him to visit Eleanor every day during her rehabilitation. Once Eleanor was stable enough to return home, Sophia would help coordinate a support system so they could be reunited. Dr. Rodriguez offered to provide Charlie's care at cost. Several nurses volunteered to assist with Eleanor's transition home. Mrs. Chen, the apartment complex manager, agreed to waive the no pets policy, given the extraordinary circumstances. The plan required coordination between multiple agencies and the goodwill of strangers who had become invested in Eleanor and Charlie's story. But as Sophia looked around the room, she realized Eleanor's act of desperation had sparked something beautiful, a community that had discovered the power of compassion. Eleanor's recovery would be long and challenging, but for the first time since the stroke, everyone believed that she and Charlie would not only survive, but thrive. 3 weeks later, something extraordinary began happening at Phoenix General Hospital. Word of Eleanor and Charlie's story had spread, and Charlie became the unofficial therapy dog of the rehabilitation wing. Sophia brought him daily, and patients found motivation in watching Eleanor's reunion with her beloved puppy. Eleanor's speech therapist noticed a dramatic acceleration in progress. She pushes harder when Charlie's here, Janet observed. Yesterday she walked 20 feet with her walker just because Charlie was waiting at the end of the hallway. Charlie seemed to understand his role. The once desperate puppy now sat calmly beside Eleanor's wheelchair, offering gentle encouragement during therapy. The story took another turn when Sophia's younger brother, Miguel, a journalism student, documented their journey for a class project. The video went viral within days. Local news stations picked it up, donations poured in, and a GoFundMe raised $15,000 in 1 week. More importantly, it inspired kindness across Phoenix. The Phoenix Animal Welfare Society reached out to Sophia about creating a program to pair seniors with rescue animals, preventing tragedies like Eleanor's. Despite limited speech, Eleanor became an advocate, helping identify elderly residents who could benefit from such companionship. By the 6th week of rehabilitation, Eleanor had regained enough mobility to return home. Charlie, now healthy and strong, had become a certified therapy dog. The apartment complex not only waived its pet policy but also built a small dog park for senior residents. Sophia's workplace, once skeptical of her absences, became a supporter, offering the shop as a meeting place for the Senior Pet Partnership Program. Dr. Hayes documented Eleanor's case for a medical journal, highlighting how her bond with Charlie had accelerated her recovery in remarkable ways. On a sunny Thursday morning in November, Eleanor returned to her apartment with Charlie by her side. Sophia had coordinated renovations, installed safety features, and arranged daily check-ins. The reunion, captured by Miguel, showed Eleanor resting on her familiar couch with Charlie curled beside her, both finally at peace. Her voice, stronger now, was clear. "Thank you, Sophia, you saved us both." The Senior Companions program that grew from their story has since helped hundreds of elderly residents maintain bonds with their pets during health crises. Eleanor, now 83, serves as a volunteer coordinator, while Charlie continues his work as a therapy dog across Phoenix. Sophia left her job at the phone repair shop to dedicate herself full-time to the program, finding her true calling in helping others. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to believe in the power of love and community. Sometimes, the most profound miracles begin with the smallest acts of courage.
If this tale moved you, if you felt the tension, the heartbreak, and the triumph, please support our channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring more thrilling, emotional, and inspiring stories your way. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think. Do you believe dogs have an extraordinary sixth sense? Share your thoughts and personal stories with us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.